connecting. Webinar is now live. Fantastic. Wonderful. People are rolling in. Happy Thursday, all. Hope everyone's doing well. Let us know where you're coming from. Say hi in the chat, please. I want to see everybody where you're coming from. Happy Thursday once again. It's mid-February and I can't believe it. It's not quite mid-February, but anyways. Hello, New Mexico, California. Wow, folks, Texas. Holy moly, you guys are just rocking in really fast. I can't keep up with it. Hello, Toronto, Oregon, Ireland. No, must be. Guys, I'm really excited. Let us know how you're doing, everyone. I hope that, hope the pandemic's not being too rough on everybody today. 'Tis life right now, of course. Hello, Jamaica, Ghana. Wow. Folks, were you guys all ready or something? This is great. Very excited for our special guest today. This is going to be a fantastic webinar. I, of course, have seen what's about to happen, so it's great. You're shoveling out. Oh, folks. Yeah, it's cold. It's cold, 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 cold here, which is typical. It's Canada. Please, if you haven't, and if you are interested in, Kaya just posted the chat for the Facebook group, our Circle Time group. If you have not joined, please. Hello from cold Ohio. I hear you. I think I read tonight will be negative 22 Celsius here in Toronto with the wind chill. It's February in Canada, I gotta say. Let us know. Upstate New York, and it's cold there too. Yeah, you guys get similar weather. Very much so. Really excited today. I'm super interested. We're having some very, very special ladies on, and I got to hold on to it. This is fun. I know you guys get to see a lot in the registration, but this is my favorite parts. Hello, Edmonton, -40. I hear you. And Winnipeg. I've done that mid-March with my dad. He used to drive long distance across Canada and the States, and that was a March break for me. March break adventure, mid-snow. Hope everyone's good. Like I was saying, if you haven't joined our Facebook group, please do. The community on there is absolutely phenomenal. Want to make sure that everybody, Kaya just reposted it. If you haven't been, please get in there. It's a fantastic group, community happening, and folks on there are fantastic. So I'm going to give us a minute or two more to settle on in. Maybe let us know what you guys are doing for some social skills building these days. I know with whether you're doing virtual learning, whether you're doing, whether you're back in the center, would love to know what you guys are up to with promoting social skills. Super important base foundation. Personally, for myself, it's a base foundation. You got to have some good social skills. So, oh, hello, Ohio. I see, I love this, folks. Some virtual outdoor play. Interesting. Yes, I heard. I was reading in South Texas, folks. You guys are getting, I assume it's abnormal weather for you. Very, very interesting down there. Hello, Toronto. Whoop, whoop. One more minute, and then we're going to get started. We're going to rock and roll, and I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to hand it over to our lovely special guest today. Hello, China. Happy Chinese New Year. Hello, Six Nations. We got a lot going on here, folks. A lot. Hope you are all well. So keep the chat going. And remember, questions for today, there's a Q&A specific chat. Would love for you guys, any questions that come up, to pop those in there. Of course, keep conversation going in the regular chat. Very, very excited to have our special guests on. And we'll just give you guys one more minute here to just settle in. If you haven't grabbed yourself, a glass of water, please do. Bring your notepads if you haven't got that. And if you do need to duck out early, remember, folks, that the session is recorded and that we will be sending out show notes and everything tomorrow. And for those who are participating here today, as well as even if you do need to duck out early, certificate is going to be coming in with your show notes email. So please watch for that. I know a couple of folks have said they've popped into their, it's popped into their spam and their junk folder. So please keep your eyes, it will be in that email with you tomorrow. So just remember, we are recording and that you guys will get all of that tomorrow. Let's get started. I thank you, Jacqueline. I hope you guys are enjoying the better audience experience with Zoom. I know we've had a couple ups and downs over the past, but let's get started and rocking and rolling into the actual webinar. As always, folks, the idea here today is that you guys are going to take away great inspiration, topics, tricks, tips, things like that you can implement in your classroom, at your center, whoever you may be. But just to remember that we're not financial, we're not legal advice. And if you guys are looking for any of that, make sure that you are seeking out the right people for all of those things and making sure to contact the right people when making decisions about your center, especially if they are financial or licensing even related. So make sure that you guys are doing that. Okay. If this is your first time with us, what to expect? Like I'd mentioned, the session is recorded. Certificate, the slides, the show notes, all of it, recording will all be made tomorrow in the show notes. It comes out tomorrow morning. So please give me some time just to get that on out to you. If you're having technical issues, please go to support.zoom.us. That is the place for this. I'm not an expert in Zoom, still learning Zoom. I'm not that person. So please, 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 if you're having any issues, but you should not be, because we're in a great place. So if you've never been here before, I'm Ria, and I'm actually one of the early childhood educators here on the Hi Mama team. I'm the community ambassador. I worked in the classroom for 6.5 years or so, give or take. And, I made some changes, found myself here, and now you find me here with you today. And we also have my lovely colleague, Kaya.
Hey,
hello,
everyone.
Kaya.
Hi.
Kaya's also an ECE, folks. You find her on social media with us. Kaya, I know you've posted the Facebook group. It's doing well. Maybe give us a quick update.
Sure, I'll post it right now. I know the chat is going off, as they say.
Booming.
So we have a wonderful, amazing Facebook group. We just launched February 1st. We're super excited about it. There's wonderful educators, administrators, directors, owners, teachers, you name it. They're all in there. And we have amazing conversations every single day. So if you're looking for some sort of resource for the classroom, or perhaps, a challenging behavior with a child that you need some support on, this is your place to go. Even if there's something around like policies and procedures that you need some clarification on from someone else in your state, province, or region, there's people all over the world in this wonderful Facebook group. So I'm going to post the link one more time. Give it a click, join us, and just make sure you answer the questions and also agree to the group rules so that we can keep our community safe. I'll see you on there.
Looking forward to seeing you there. I'm also there. Thanks, Kaya, for that quick update. All right, folks. What you can expect from us today, I'm going to be handing it over in just a moment to Jan and Janet, our special guests. They're going to be talking about social skills in play and learning. Like I'd mentioned, a key base for me is social skills. So talking a little bit more about social competence, observations, which are key, especially as an educator and even for parents, making notes of things that happen when they're at home is super important. And just those successful children, what makes them successful? Talk about some experience, some opportunities that can be created. And of course, the big one, self-regulation. Even now, I think as adults, we're working on self-regulation, especially with COVID these days. So I'm super excited to welcome Jan and Janet. Both of these lovely ladies have an explosive amount of experience in the education space, and both have been teaching early childhood education. They're experts in the early years. I'm super excited to welcome them from Tools for Life. And maybe Jan and Janet, join us here now. Maybe if you guys want to start us off with a little bit more about you and what got you to Tools for Life, and then jump in, take it away.
Janet, you go first.
Oh, okay. I'm on top on the scale here as well. Well, hi, everybody. How exciting is this? Holy cow, there's a lot of people on.
Right?
I guess I didn't realize how much from all over the world it is. So Absolutely. Hello. And I will say too, happy New Year's. I have my little red on for tomorrow as well too. But I am a registered early child educator myself. Very proud to say that. I graduated actually at the college that I teach in now many, many years ago. I do have experience working in childcare. It was my passion for a long time. I decided I needed more education, as I believe working with children we constantly do. So I chose to go on to university. And then when I was in university, my passion again still was there for early childhood education. So I was very fortunate that at the college we had a lab school and I was hired to go and work in there. And during that time, I not only worked with children, but I worked with students in the ECE program and realized I really enjoyed adult learners as well. And so I started teaching at night school at the college and then eventually became full-time faculty. So I'm very happy to say I've been there. Well, I'm happy, but I'm old. I've been there for over 30 years. And that's how I met my colleague, who we're the JJ girls. And I'll let Jan introduce herself now.
Take it away, Jan.
Thank you. Unlike Janet, I got into early childhood education through a back door. I
Oh.
started my studies in child development and psychology, and I got so fascinated by the amazing growth and development that was happening in the early years. I did some research on moral development of preschool children, which was just mind blowing. And then I was so fortunate to get a first job in an assessment and diagnostic program for preschool children at risk.
Oh.
And it was an amazing program because they actually integrated the children being assessed into a child care center at Conestoga College for 6 weeks, so that we did a lot of live observation. We were able to try out some things. And in the meantime, I just fell in love with early childhood education. I so admired the workers. I so admired the parents, and I was in love with the kids. And so I did that for several years, and then Conestoga recruited me to share some of what I had learned with their students in the social emotional area. And I taught there for a while, and then my family moved to London, where I started at Fanshawe. And I was there as an adult educator. I've also been there for about 30 years, and so fortunate that more than 20 of those have been working beside and with Janet on such a shared area of interest.
This is wonderful. First ladies, you guys are getting a lot of love in the chat. We even have a couple of people who have said they were students of yours many years
Oh,
back.
Hi guys.
Oh, that's so exciting.
I'm so excited. I'm going to get off. This is your show. Take it away. And I'm super excited to chat a little bit further with you guys after.
All right. So I'm going to take it over now. Is that, let me see.
Please do, my dear. It's all yours.
All right. So I just need some, there we go. So, well, I'm just going to say welcome to our past students. And hopefully some of this you're going to go, oh, I remember being in class with those two ladies. And this is still your passion as well, too. So we're going to do social skills for play and learning. And we're going to look at, are you as educators ensuring that you're in your play-based environment that children are ready to learn as well. So if we look at social competence, and that's what we are trying to do in the early years, we're trying to get children to make friends and the interactions between friends. And if you look at what really social competence is, it's nothing more than being liked by others and having those skills to interact with other children as well too. And that's where we have to have children start to understand what are the pro-social skills that get me invited into play versus the anti-social skills, what actually rejects me from play and nobody wants to play with me then. And we know that it's very complex interactions making friends because there's a lot of skills that you need to have in order to be able to interact effectively. You know, children have to learn give and take. They have to learn how to play a variety of roles. They become leaders, but they also have to be able to follow someone else's ideas. Um, During play, they need to contribute to ideas, they need to make suggestions, and within play, we know negotiation and compromising happens at the same time. So there's a lot of skills that a child develops in order to become socially competent, and that's what we're going to talk about today as well.
Okay. And I'm having trouble seeing the PowerPoint, but I will talk to the slide. What does it matter? It matters in the short term because social skills really enhance success in play-based programs. I'm not sure how children could possibly learn if they can't play with their peers. So imagine being in a meeting or an activity with 15 other people. There's no real agenda, there's no clear outcome, and there's an expectation that you collaborate to make something happen. And I think that's what children experience in a play-based program. So there is a lot of isolated play, there are a lot of short-lived interactions with bouts of conflict, lots of social stress because they might not be sure what to do, or they might not be sure what the other children are going to do. And once a child has the skills to join in successfully, their level of social stress decreases, and lo and behold, they're able to start learning what the group is learning through the group interests. And we also know that it enhances children's well-being. People benefit so significantly from emotional connections created with friends. And it's not just being engaged with other children, it's really the development of meaningful friendships that are important. And clearly this is going to be a foundation and a model for friendships going forward into the school system. Children want friends who are caring, accepting, respectful, and kids need the skills to interact in ways that don't jeopardize their friendship through competition, through challenges. So we need to support this development before the children head off to the elementary grades, because in all honesty, teachers with one group of 24 kids to one teacher do not have the opportunities that we have in the early childhood field to do this. Long term, not surprising, relationships are most successful when there's reciprocity, when there's mutual feelings of respect, when people can share control and decision making in their relationships. In terms of learning, the research is very clear. The main reason for not completing high school isn't lower intelligence, it's limited social emotional knowledge and skills. And long-term success in life, most of us are social beings. We feel fulfilled and we feel comforted when we know that we have relationships that are long-term, long-lasting, predictable, secure. And that's as important to most of us as our achievements in other areas of our life.
All right, so here's just a really nice saying about friendships. And a single friendship can insulate a child from some of the negative effects of being rejected or neglected by other peers. And I want you to think about your own friends and think about why they're your friends and what they bring to your group. You know, of all the people in your life that have been around you, why did you pick this certain group to be your friends as well, too? And probably the number one thing is there's a shared interest in there. And that shared interest has continued and you support each other as well. You know, new friends also help you meet other friends, right? You might say, oh, I'm going out with a couple other new people. Do you want to come with me tonight? And yeah, I'll come. And then all of a sudden now you have two new friends. Friends also forgive you easier, right? You could have a bad day and that friend just goes, it's okay. You're just having a bad day. They can read those cues from you and those signals about if it's a really good day, or maybe, you know what, this COVID is really getting to you as well, too. Friends also forgive us easier because they know that's not really who we are. We just might be having an off day. But that's exactly what we want in the early years with children too. We don't need all our children to be social butterflies, but if they can connect with one or two children, it's usually better more than just one, because one might be sick that day. But if they can connect with one or two children that still have those type of shared interests, they're going to be successful in practicing those pro-social skills. So I want you to look at, if you are in a room right now, or if you're going to go back, just sit back and watch. What is it that other children like about the children that they're playing with? And very quickly, you can pick up what those shared interests are.
Okay, so we want to start just very, very quickly looking at toddlers. We want to just remember that anyone who works with toddlers knows that toddlers are high energy players. They're full body learners, they're full body interactors, and they learn about things by discovering what they can do with and to them. They're hands-on. And so their episodes of play are, even though toddlers are very enthusiastic, toddler play episodes are usually quite short-lived. Toddlers are trying to play with the same things at the same time. There's grabbing, pushing, screaming over who owns it. When toddlers engage in physical play, which they do, toddlers are the most physically aggressive age group of any age group, because that's how they communicate. They communicate with their bodies. And they also have challenges by being attracted somewhere else. So they start playing here, and then they zip over there, and then they zip over there. So toddlers are fascinating to watch in their play. They certainly have the desire to be social, but they don't have the skills to do what it takes to be successful. And they need an abundance of support, and ideally in small, consistent groups in order to develop their social skills, because we know it's much easier for toddlers to develop social skills when the children they play with are more predictable and more familiar over a period of time. Okay, a little bit older children, but still young, also need the same kind of support, but they're developing some really important skills that toddlers aren't really focused on, and that's more self-awareness about their own body, their own moods, their own feelings. They're much more able to tell you things like, I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm cold, I'm sad, I have a tummy ache, which is usually a way of expressing some anxiety or some kind of upset feeling. They also need to learn about self-regulation. So once they know that their bodies aren't feeling that great, how can they get back to that point where they're calm and they're relaxed and they're engaged? And a big part of self-regulation in this age group, as well as with toddlers, is they need to know that when they can't self-regulate, that there's an educator there who can and will help them. And then the other thing that young children 3 to 6 are learning, and again, they don't learn this automatically, they learn it much more when we work with them and when we help them to become more aware of how other people are feeling in the same scenario, to realize that the same thing might produce different emotions in different children. Worms or bugs, might create fear for some and excitement for others. They need to learn why other people have feelings that are related to the give and take that Janet mentioned in social interactions, and who did what to whom and how that made them feel. And it's so important that once children start to have that self-awareness, they start to feel a little bit of guilt when they make somebody feel bad. And it's very, very important to help them see, well, yeah, that happens. It's a natural consequence, but let's figure out how to fix it. Let's figure out how to make that child feel better so that you can go on with your play. And Developing those social play skills really depends on a social emotional environment that models and teaches these things to children on a regular basis.
Okay, so let's talk about the types of groups of children that you have and the type of, not groups, sorry, the behaviors that you have. And I always say this, and this is what I teach my students, is there's three basic types of characteristics you'll see. There's our popular behavior characteristics, our rejected, and our neglected. So if we look at children who are socially successful, these are what we call the popular characteristics ones. These are the ones that are easy to deal with. These children already have the start of those pro-social. They can share, they can take turns, they can compromise, they can negotiate. They still have some issues, but you can work through conflict with them easily too. They demonstrate kindness and empathy. They can be leaders. Most of the time, the ones who have these characteristics, they have good language skills as well. And the language skills get that interaction with other children as well too. They're positive and they can give tactful rejection. So they may not want to play what you're playing right now, but instead of saying no, they know if they do that, you won't play with them. They can tactfully reject your play and get you to play with what I want to play with. So when you think about this, this is a lot of skills we're asking very young children to have. But if they're in group situations, they need that in order to get along. Dan Gartrell had a great statement he made in a workshop I watched once, and he said, don't look at your children in years, look at them in months and really think about that. And that has stuck with me because if you think about if you are in toddlers, you're only 24 months. And then you go into preschool, you're 36 months or 48 months old. And yet I'm showing you all these skills that make you have that better interactions in the room as well. So this just shows you what how crucial our roles are as educators because these aren't skills children automatically develop. These are skills that we can teach children as well too. So there's three main skills for positive group interaction that you need to know. And this is something I think if we tell you if as an early child educator, observation is the key thing. If you observe these three key things, you will know how to support a child socially and emotionally in a room as well. So the first one is entering groups. How does a child enter into a group? And 50%, most of the time, 50% of a time a child tries to enter in a group, it gets turned down. And that's because we teach children to say, can I play with you? And you will get accepted if you're liked. But if you're not necessarily the characteristics I want, you may not get accepted. So it gets turned down. So we have to be very careful that we don't say to children, just go ask if you can play, because it's a 50-50 whether they're going to get excited as well too. But we also have different access rituals as well. And younger children, they will come up and they may not have the skills to ask. So they do what we call a nonverbal appeal, and they'll come up and they'll just smile and they think you read my smile as asking to play. And children don't know. They may even smile back at them, but they don't do anything. They don't invite them in. Others will insert themselves. One child gets up, and I'm sure some of you who work with children will nod their head or nodding your head. A child gets up to go to the bathroom. I insert myself into play. I come back from the bathroom going, I was there. And then I'm told to leave the play as well, turn down again. Another child might play parallel to another child. So you're playing with trucks, I'll play with trucks or Lego, hoping that I'll get invited into play. But interesting enough, parallel play gets you accepted into play more than asking as well too. And then we have the children who disrupt. They want to play, you say no, so they maybe knock down your tower or whatever. But if I don't have the skills to get into play, then that's going to stop me from practicing the interactions of play. The next one is maintaining play. And in maintaining play, you need three things to have in order for play to be successful. And the first one is a shared understanding. And a shared understanding is nothing more. Do you understand the roles of and the rules to my play? So you want to come in, I'm playing whatever in the dramatic play center, I'm playing toy store. Do you know the rules and the roles in order to be able to maintain play? The other thing we need is a sense of ownership. And an ownership only means to a child that I can own an item. And while I'm playing with that item, I have a right to that. Now, think about children in your group. And has anybody ever seen a child playing with a toy? Another child comes and takes it, and the child does absolutely nothing. They just kind of go, oh, and then they walk away. That's a child who doesn't have a sense of ownership. So they won't be able to maintain play. Or have you seen children at, I'm getting this real nice bright sun shining in my face right now. Or have you seen children maybe at the art table and you have markers and they're holding on to all the markers? And another child goes, may I have the blue marker? No, I'm playing with them. That's a child who doesn't have a sense of ownership. I don't understand that I can say, yes, you can use this blue crayon, but I want it back. So we need that as well as in turn taking as a part of ownership as well. And then we have problem strategies. So I enter into play. If I can't maintain play, play will not continue. If I can start play, but I don't know how to do conflict resolution, play is not going to be maintained as well. So, and we children will have, possession. I want that toy, but you're playing with it. Territory. This is my area. That's your area. Social control, rule violation, ideas on play. If I don't have the strategies developed on how to go through problem solving, then my play is not going to be successful.
Okay, so to take it to the next level, why do some children have more challenges learning how to play? And part of it is that they're all different when they're born. Um, Children may have limited language due to developmental reasons or different language. Um, or they may have no language at all because they have a hearing impairment. And that inability to participate and understand the conversations between peers is going to jeopardize their play. Delays of development that are related to genetic or prenatal factors. It's very difficult for a child to play with someone their chronological age if their cognitive age is a bit younger. So they're going to need a bit more support. Temperamental style, and we could spend hours just on this one alone, so I'm going to say it very quickly. We know that there are children who adapt and learn new skills very easily. Those are the children Janet described as being probably the popular ones who already know this and know how to make those relationships work. We have children that are more cautious, that stay on the fringe of the play, that are more slow to get involved, and they may withdraw altogether and play by themselves. Or they may rely on you to take them to play and get them involved. And again, they're like a toddler. Those cautious kids do much better in a much smaller, consistent group where they don't have to be as worried. And then we have our kids who are more intense, and they just experience everything, both internal and external, with more intensity, more upset, and their desire to participate is intense, but their reactions to failures and conflict may be such that other children can be intimidated by them and not want to play with them. And then we'll talk a little bit later about self-regulation, but just wanted to mention it here too. The age group we're talking about just has, some children just have real challenges with self-regulating.
All right. So remember too that not all the children in your room, and I'm sure you're aware of this, don't have the same experiences or opportunities coming. Stress in the home causes stress in a child. So if a child is stressing about what is happening, and let's use COVID as that example, it could stop them temporarily from playing at that moment as well too, and connecting with other children. Children may have lack of experience with play materials. Not everybody has, not every parent is a registered early child educator that has their home set up as a childcare center. So a child coming in may not be ever have played, and they don't have that shared understanding. Here's finger painting, come on in. I'm not allowed to touch stuff like that. I don't even know what it is, so it stops them from playing as well. Lack of experience in group settings. They may be an only child in the home, or they may have older peers. So they don't have the same type of interaction. They could be in a home with 3 or 4 other children, but if they're all a different age, other than the childcare, that's a different type of development they're playing as well too. Lack prior play stimulation or opportunity. If play is not encouraged in the home, and then we're telling them to come in this large uninterrupted time of play to use their own creativity and expression, they could be stumped on what to do. It's that age old saying, if I give you a box, one child, it will become 10 things to them. And for another child, they'll say, well, why are you giving me a box? What am I supposed to do with it? So we have to remember we're dealing with that in our rooms as well. And then demonstrate diversity or special needs as well, too. We have children, that may have English as second language. Like Jan said, it could be a need as a hearing impairment. It could be because they look different in their skin tone that actually could stop them from being able to play as well. So we really got to take that observation into consideration about why children are not engaged at that moment.
Okay, and this brings us to someone that Janet and I have just found so helpful in our understanding, Dr. Stuart Shanker. Many of you will know who he is. Some of you won't. He's a PhD who has really studied the impact of self-regulation, ability and inability on the development of children. And I tried to make a slide that would just give you a little bit of a sense of what his work tells us. And again, this is a very, very thumbnail sketch. But it helps us to remember that we all have ups and downs in our emotional state, in our psychological energy, in our physical energy. And we go up and down what he calls the arousal continuum, through one state to the next to the next. The ideal state for learning is that green one in the middle, when children are calm and also alert and engaged and interested in what's going on. And then if you go up to the yellow level, which is called hyper aroused, those are the children who get overwhelmed by either internal or other stresses, or just sometimes by the energy and the excitement of the play. And they get to a level where they're less able to focus and plan, more likely to be reactive, and more likely to hit or kick or do something that's not helpful. And again, this is very true in the younger preschoolers and the toddlers who are still full body. They're going to need all kinds of strategies to calm down constantly. The children in the blue area are children who withdraw, who zone out when they get overstimulated. When there's too much going on, they just kind of retreat into themselves, and they are very slow to react. They are also less likely to be able to respond and think and plan, because they are deliberately tuning out what's going on around them. And so they will also need assistance and strategies, but this time they want to be kind of pulled up into that engagement from their safe, comfortable inner state. And all children are going back and forth through these states. And it can be biological, they can be hungry, they can be tired. It can be social, they can feel included or excluded. And it can be just emotional. They're stressed, there's things going on that they can't deal with. Okay, and so the development of self-regulation, I just want to remind you, when we put kids in groups, we expect them to be able to manage themselves and their behavior and their emotions. because that's what makes a group run smoothly. But our preschoolers have some of those skills. Our toddlers and some of our more challenged and stressed out kids may not have those yet. And what this really means for you is that you become their co-regulator. Your presence on the floor keeps them engaged, keeps them from getting so wound up. And you really need to be there for them as a strategy.
So then, from knowing all that information, we really have to look at the children who are disengaged in play, and they're the ones who are at risk as well. So children who aren't constantly interacting with materials, it could be with other peers over days, weeks, it doesn't matter, they still will miss opportunity for learning and social development at that time. So we really got to look at what is stopping the child from playing. So it could be that they're new to the center and therefore they're shy, right? And it takes them a while to warm up. So it could be a couple of days as well, too. It could be, though, that they're overwhelmed because they're new and that stops them even longer from playing. It could be they're stuck in play. You know, they do the same thing day after day after day because they don't know how to scaffold. They don't know how to get to that next level of play. We also have children that wander and they have no depth in their play. They're constantly wandering or roaming the room and they just don't have the ability to maintain play for a longer period of time. We have children who dabble in play. You know, they do something for a minute and then they're off to something else. There's really not a lot of depth to that play as well. And then, of course, the anxious child, the child we don't know, right? Something is causing so much stress either outside the home or it could be in the home as well. So again, it's our job to observe, to reflect, and then to be able to intervene with that child as well. So I told you some ones about what we call the popular characteristic child. So then we have rejected characteristics as well. And rejected characteristics are children with antisocial behavior. There are hitters or biters or kickers. They just don't know how to deal with things because when they do, the impulse control is not there and they're aggressive. So they usually can't read social situations. And unfortunately, a cycle will develop. Children will hit, their peers move away from them. They become angry because they want to play, but then they have more aggression because they don't have that self control. And unfortunately, with rejected children, too, because it's that constant aggressive behavior, sometimes the adult rejects the child because you're constantly going, oh, it's that child again in the room. And you're getting stressed because you don't know how to meet that challenging behavior as well. So for those children, we have to help them to dysregulate a little bit and to be able to be calm, to be able to join in groups as well. And then the next group is what we call our neglected characteristics. And it's not neglect as in abuse. It just means they're neglected because most of the time they're ignored. And the reason they're ignored is because of their slow to warm up temperament. They don't appear interested because they aren't telling us and we're not picking up on those nonverbal clues as well. And for them, it's an interaction between their temperament and peer interaction. They're very cautious. It takes a while to slow up, to slow to warm, to get involved. So they get ignored. They're not invited to play. And because they're not invited to play, they don't get to refine their social skills. Now, you may say the parent, you know, they're really shy in here, and oh, at home they play great with their siblings. That they do have social skills, but they can't refine them because of this temperament in the room as well too. So they need us to be able to support them as well. And the last thing you need to do is say to children, well, just go ask if they can play, or go up to a group of children and say, Sarah really wants to play, can she play here? And the children will use it as, if I don't, the teacher will get mad, and you power over them. They'll invite the child in, not because they want the child, but because the educator told them to. So we really have to look at the skills of those children in order to make them successful in play.
Okay. And I think it's really important, and this is not something that you don't already know, but may
Oh, We seem to have techno difficulties with internet. Poor Jan does have an issue sometimes. So I'll just talk on this slide till she goes out and comes back in. So again, she just said it's not anything that you probably don't already know about observing closely to determine what barrier it is. And that's that observing, reflecting, and intervening as well. Once you recognize the barrier, then you're going to be able to support the child in their play as well. Sorry, Jan, I took it over for you.
Thank you. I'm back, I think.
There you are back. So we have to really look at our role. There's three ways that you can do this: the educator's role to the child, your curriculum, and how to use peers in your room. So you have to decide what is your need with the child and your role. So you need to co-regulate with the child, maybe to dysregulate to get them involved. You have to help them by cueing and prompting and modeling. You have to do some type of direct intervention to help the child make choices. You facilitate by giving cues or suggestions for the play as well. And also, we model how to use the play materials. If I've never interacted with these materials, you have to show me the enjoyment of why I want to come and do those play sequences to be able to understand it. The second thing is, how do you set up your curriculum? And that's, we have large uninterrupted free play time. How do you teach those social skills? And it's as easy as, turn taking. Play-Doh, instead of you have three children working with Play-Doh, only have two pairs of scissors. Or at the water play table, you may have a limit of how many is there. You only have so many. And because you're there, you're going to show children how to do the giving back and forth as well, too. And then the linking with peers is important because you're busy. You have a lot of children in your room. You're dealing with different things in your room, behaviors, setting up curriculum, all that. Use the peers in the room too. Match a socially aware child with a child who can be their friends. I know so and so likes trucks. If I put trucks into this play, the child with the social skills will play it, but they probably will play with a child with less social skills. So it's really looking to see what your role is when supporting children.
Okay, and our final slide, I am going to just say to you, I'm going to read it to you because Michael Gorelnik has been doing this work of building social skills and encouraging us to help children develop friendships for the last 30 years. And basically he says, friendships are very important for children. These relationships are the first steps beyond the family. They may be one of the first situations where children start to experiment with whether they can trust other people outside the family, whether other people see them as competent, and whether they have a sense of self that's positive, that they're likable, that they are worthy of friends. Their early experiences with their peers have a powerful, lifelong effect. In the process of figuring out their relationships with other people, children learn skills which are crucial to their development as social beings. And thank you, Michael Gorelnik, for being so committed to the social well-being of young children. And that brings us to the end of the slideshow.
Ladies, I'm speechless, first of all. This has been absolutely phenomenal. I've just been sitting back, listening to every single piece that you guys are going through and taking and digesting it, and then also reflecting on the time that I had in my classroom and the questions that have been coming through on the chat. I've got a screen over here and it's full. So let's dive in. I'm gonna actually, Jenna, I'm gonna take some control here from you and request it to bump the slides along. Yes. First of all, thank you, both of you, for such a wonderful, wonderful presentation. It's been absolutely amazing so far. So let's dive into a couple of questions. We don't have too much time. So folks, we're gonna take a lot of these questions to our Facebook page and we'll get them to Jan and Janet to answer as well moving forward. So don't fret if you do not get an answer here today, because I won't lie, there's way too many to go through today. So let's start with a couple of great questions here, and maybe what I'm going to do here, Janet, is that one of the questions started off for you. You were talking a little bit about, children entering play and saying, "Can I play with you?" And of course, that usually gets shut down pretty easily, depending on your age too. Maybe not so much with older children, but depending on their younger age, it's usually like, this is mine and I'm going to keep it. Do you have any suggestions for phrases that educators can use in replacement of this?
I think I'll change that to rather than a phrase, how about the educator show the child how to get involved with it? If we know, for instance, one of the things that's successful is parallel play beside the child building. So say a child wants Lego, I could sit with this child and start Lego too, and then I could start a conversation with the children beside me. And that will probably, because I'm helping lead the play with this child who may lack the skills, and maybe the child happens to be a rejected child, so they have aggressive behavior. Because I'm there, I'm able to help self regulate them. The other children all of a sudden can start getting involved. So it might be we're building a barn and they're building a barn too. And I go, oh no, I don't know what else goes in a barn. And then I might turn to the children and say, hey, I see you two are building a barn. Do you have some suggestions for us? And that could possibly lead into the type of play as well. Other children who, the ones that just go up and smile, it's by saying to them, did you want to play there? And they'll say, well, when you're just smiling, they don't know you want to play there. And so it's giving them that language as well too. But we usually know which children are going to get accepted and which children won't get accepted. So my suggestion would be the parallel play most of all. Because if you just try and give them different words to say, the other thing you could say is, oh, look, I see they're playing truck. They might need a gas, right? You might want to be a gas station guy and go over there and see if anybody needs a fill of gas. And you go with the child to be cut because you want to make sure they're successful in it. And they go, hey, the gas man's here, or woman, I should say. The gas person is here. Does anybody need gas? And they never even thought about that. That could have started them into the play as well.
It's true. It's those pieces are very key, especially with, let's use the gas station as an example, when they come in with that assigned role, especially when they're a little bit older and that they have that sense of, especially when they're playing some sort of type of house in this, as an example, like that I'm my role that I play in this play and I've assigned it already to myself. So it's a fantastic way to help model with it, as well as give them the social piece to actually get into the play, and then they start actually reusing it. I think we lost Jan there briefly.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I'll just quickly say too, the other thing you can also say is to children is say, is there a job that you can give this child, right? And it could, and then, but the child knows they need permission first before they're invited to the play. So they might go, yeah, we need a babysitter tonight. Oh, we could be the babysitter, right? But it's staying there to make sure the child can be successful as well.
Very true. Very true. Jan, did you make it back with us?
I'm back. I think not my camera, but
she's here. She's here in spirit. I have a great question for you here that I wanted to ask you before we start our wrap up, and it's talking a little bit about toddlers, and maybe you can enlighten us a little bit. One of the questions that was asked was, what would be the best way to help toddlers accept learners who do not behave like their typical age in that group? So, for example, helping them accept a child with special needs, or other social stories or tools that the teachers can help with getting those children in the play.
Okay, I'll try that one. Hopefully.
It's a hard one, sorry.
But no, it isn't. And I think I have a cousin who's an ECE, and her little guy has a Down syndrome.
Okay.
And so I have just a wealth of a sense of how this can happen, but it takes a total commitment from the entire staff in the center. And it takes that sense that we are just going to show how important he is to the group. And we are going to give him jobs and roles that help the other kids to see his value and his competence and what he can do rather than what he can't do. And I think it takes just such like the educator, like Janet said earlier, is the person who tells the
Oh, no.
Oh, poor Jen.
Yes.
Oh, there you go. You're back. Keep going.
This is driving me crazy. Anyway, but
It's
I
okay.
think that's important. And I think for any child who's in the least bit different or being left out, it's up to the educator to demonstrate that child's value to the group. And I know we don't have time for many stories, but I just love this one. Little guy who was so disengaged that he wouldn't get off the bench
Oh,
to play. He just sat there. And students
Uh-oh.
uh-oh.
Well, if she comes back, she can
Her
give that
good.
example. But I think that's the most important thing too, is your
Yeah.
role in play. If you know the child is not being included, you know, if you take on the role of in the play as
everything. And this
well,
is what Janet
they're
says,
going
like
to
you
come.
have to find a way to help kids get successful. I just saw one of my students heard that story already. But I think it's just, that's the thing with special needs is find their strengths, find they all have strengths, they all have gifts. And that's what you focus on, and that's what you highlight for the other children. And then you pair them, like Janet said, with another child who's open and caring and loving and respectful. And I do want to just quickly say from the comments that are coming in, a lot of you are doing this already. It's so good
Very
to
much
read,
so.
and that's so exciting.
Folks, just so we know, give a bit of context. We're pretty close to 2,000 people on this webinar. So I'm very happy about this, and B, this has been phenomenal. For the sake of time, we're not obviously, like I said, going to be able to cover all the questions, but I want to give both Jen and Janet a minute to say their thank yous here and their wrap up. So folks, just bear with us. If you'd like to join the Facebook group, remember that you need to agree to the rules and accept those. This is to keep our space safe. But let's maybe start with you, Jan. What's maybe a happy thought or just anything you'd like to leave us with today, especially during COVID? I know that these times are really hard. So maybe what's a positive, happy thought or anything you want to leave us with? And thank you again as well for being with
I
us
think
today.
it's a happy thought is that if you're kind of sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, how the heck am I going to do all of this on top of everything else I'm trying to do? And this is how we got connected with you guys in the first place, was through a team of people called the Tools for Life Better Futures group. And their goal is that every early childhood program has kind of like a social emotional, and I use the word curriculum in quotations because it's not a structured curriculum, but it has a lot of structure in the planning of how you engage and interact with children. And what's important, especially with COVID, is that the social and emotional needs of children are going to dominate their cognitive learning needs. Not all of them, but enough of them that you need to be able to make sure that you have plans for how you're going to deal with the situations that you've identified as challenging. And the reason that that's helpful is when you have a plan to deal with a challenging or a social conflict or a difficult child, then you can stay calm when you intervene because you already know ahead of time what you're going to say, what you're going to do, how you're going to approach it. And the Tools for Life Early Years resource has been developed with that in mind. Janet and I worked on it together with the team. A lot of our thoughts and strategies are embedded in it. And the other thing that's really, really nice about it is that it is full of hands-on materials and beautiful photographs and props and posters that you can use to engage children in those kinds of discussions about their feelings and their problem solving and their strategies for calming down. So take a look at their website. And thank you again so much for coming. This is my thing. You guys are the first responders for children.
Yes.
You're social engineers and you're their path to a better future. So pat yourself on the back when you get off this webinar.
I agree. Janet, words of wisdom, happy thoughts you want to leave us with?
Well, I'm kind of with Jan. I see the EC field as our superheroes. And you know what? It's just proof for the amount of people that are on today that want to continue their education. It's so important when we work with children that we continue to know what's best for them. And not only them, you're working with their families. So I just want everybody to be safe, happy, and healthy.
I can echo that immediately, both of you ladies. First of all, yes, do check out Tools for Life. I've perused it myself, and if I was still in the field right now, it'd be something I'd probably be nagging my director to be like, hey, I think this is really good. And as well, both of you, thank you so much. So your words of wisdom, your thoughts, just it's a nice for us reminder for those who've been in the field for a while to bring some of these things just back to like, you know them and you're doing them, but sometimes you just need that conscious reminder that that's actually what's happening right now in your classroom. And for those who are potentially, I know some of you on here are working towards either getting into the classroom or are still, you know, even in school potentially. So it's a great piece to have. Both of you, Jan and Janet, thank you. J&J, thank you
JJ.
so much.
JJ's.
The JJ crew.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna have to have you guys back on because this was just way too
Sure.
much.
Anytime.
Let's do a bit of wrap up here. Okay, in the chat, I know Miss Kaya's posted it already, but she will post the link for the certificate. You need to download that. If you don't get it today, do not fret. It's going to be in the show notes email tomorrow. It will come out tomorrow morning, okay? Same deal there. You pop in your name, pop in your center name, and then save it for your records or shoot it along to whoever needs to have it for your professional development of any kind, okay? Once again, recording, the show notes, everything will be sent out once again tomorrow. And then next week, I think this is a great follow-up to you ladies here today. We're talking a little bit more about advocating for early childhood educators. We're having our ECE of the year on next week. And she's very involved in making a voice for yourself. I think this is super important, especially right now, even more so now that we get a voice out there and start making sure that we're, you know, advocating for what's right in this space. We're, like it's been said, we are frontline workers as well as educators. We do need to make sure we're getting the needs and the support. And I want to talk a little bit more next week about how you can do that. And of course, in the right ways too, and just being knowledgeable about it. Last but not least, and I don't know, Miss Kaya, if you want to join and let us know any of this bit. If you haven't joined our Circle Time group, please do. You have to accept the rules, the questions there. This is to keep the space safe. Say that 10 times fast. Is there anything, Kaya, I may have missed happening on social these days?
No, you pretty much nailed it. Super excited about Circle Time. There's been so many requests. I'm like going nuts over here. It's been a phenomenal community, and there have been so many questions. Janet, we're obviously going to have you back, and I do apologize. We ran out of time if we didn't get to answer your question, but we want to send everyone over to that Facebook group. We're going to take some time to answer those questions. And also our community is so amazing and so full of resources. So join our Facebook group. I'm putting the link in there again, and ask your question there. Just please make sure you answer all the prerequisite questions to get into the group so we can keep it safe.
I cannot say it anymore. Thank you, Janet. Thank you. To echo, stay healthy, stay happy, stay safe. We'll see you next week at 2 p.m. Thank you, ladies.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.